Please, from Los Angeles, Pastors Robert Morris, Lee Jenkins, and Alveda King. And now, Pastor Sam Rodriguez.
Welcome to Praise. I'm Pastor Sam Rodriguez, otherwise known as Sam Rodriguez or Samuelito Rodriguez, however you want to phrase it. And here we have Robert Morris, Lee Jenkins, Alveda King. These are my buddies. These are my friends. We have with us here in this panel an amazing pastor who is going beyond just the rhetoric and going beyond focusing on the problem, viable problems that have to be addressed with integrity. There's a term I would apply here. This pastor is prophetic, speaking truth to power. His commitment to having a conversation with those who may not be completely aware of or completely understand why there's still tension, why there are issues that yet require attention. That's Pastor Lee Jenkins. I am glad you're here. You are amazing. Thank you for what you're doing. What are these conversations? Where in the world did they emerge? Tell me a bit about the outcomes thus far.
Yes. In 2016, it was an awful summer for most Americans. One particular week, we had Alton Sterling, unarmed black man, killed by police. We had Philando Castile, the same thing happened. And then we had the Dallas police officers killed. I mean, it was an awful week. And that was my tipping point. I said, somebody needs to talk about this. Christians ought to be able to come together, the church. We ought to be the leading voices when it comes to this. Yeah. But we aren't saying anything. We either aren't saying anything because of apathy, maybe we don't care, or we don't know what to say. And I think a lot of us, we don't know what to say. So I decided that enough is enough. And so I got on the phone and I started calling all of my white leader friends. And they were white pastors or white leaders in the community, including the police chief, some of the city council people, as many people as I could get together at the table who were different races, who probably even had different perspectives. I said, we need to come together. We need to, first of all, pray. And then secondly, we need to talk.
I love that order right there.
Yes, we got to pray first.
Come on.
Yeah, and then we need to talk about how are these issues making us feel. And so we had about 12 people that came together. And once we started talking, how about this? About half of them decided the kitchen was too hot for them. Yes, about half of them, you know what? Once their narrative was challenged, they couldn't deal with it. And so we got it down to about 6 people. Then those 6 people talked to some other people. We had a group of about 12 people that came together. We prayed. We talked about race. We talked about our lives. We talked about our experiences. We got to know each other. We watched documentaries together. We read books together. We cried together. We just let it all out over about a 4-month period. I mean, and we met every week. And we got to know each other like you wouldn't believe. I mean, and there was tension at times. There was embarrassment at times. Every emotion you could think of.
Was there frank conversation?
Oh, my God. Anger. People having to walk out of the room and cool off. I mean, it was very, very frank.
You just described my Thanksgiving dinner. But besides that, but even to this moment, was this in California?
No, this was in Atlanta, Georgia.
I'm actually doing it intentionally. So it's not California.
Not California.
This is Georgia, in the South.
The cradle of the civil rights movement.
Lee, I want people to capture this a bit. We have some video footage about this. We're going to go to conversations right now. Watch. This is what God is doing.
With all the racial unrest in our country now, actually with all the racial unrest that has been prevalent in our country for decades, we decided we wanted to do something about it. And what better place to deal with racial unrest and to try to get racial unity? What better place, what better people to do that than the church and those of us who are followers of Jesus Christ?
In North Carolina, going into outside of the city of Charlotte, I would experience being called a spick to my face by a little old white lady I'd never seen before. Coming out of a Waffle House, one time I was assaulted. I spent the whole night in surgery.
Sometimes I feel like whenever a white person sees a black person, they immediately have that reflex to just back away. Whenever you're playing dodgeball, you see a ball coming towards you, you just immediately have the reflex to just dodge, and I feel really sad about that.
So the Conversations movement was birthed out of my frustration that we are talking about the problem, but we're not really coming up with a biblical solution. So I reached out to some pastors, one being Pastor Matt Miller, and we started praying together and started talking about some tough issues. And we started meeting every couple of weeks, reading books together. And we decided that after a few months, we wanted to get our congregations involved. That's when the Conversations movement got started, because we were having a personal conversation, and we had both been enlightened, and our relationship really grew closer together. And we wanted the rest of the body of Christ, our local church members, to experience what we experienced. So Conversations is all about black and white Christians, Hispanics, really just people of different races coming together, talking about their experiences, their perspectives, but doing it in a safe biblical setting so we can get to know one another and so we can model racial unity to the world.
The radical idea that a conversation can change everything. A conversation can change everything.